All right, this is a recording of our lecture we did for Thursday, September 10th, talking about previous assignments and then getting ready to do our lab procedure for our paper airplanes. Okay, so first of all, previous assignments, we had the misleading graphs worksheet. In general, anytime there's less information, that is more misleading than anything when you can have the complete information or more information. Okay, so which one's more, which one shows is misleading is the one on the left because it has less information, and it might be someone trying to get you to buy a house or buy insurance or something like that. If you notice, I have this zoomed in because you have to see these are each 50 people. People tend to be the same size, but for some reason they made the horse diagrams bigger, even though more people own cats. Okay, so that's why it's misleading, is they're basing on the size of the animal, not the number of owners. And maybe people who sell cat food or something, or farms might have something to gain from this. Again, we want to look at which one has more information. This one has very few data points. This one has a lot more data, so it is less misleading. This one's more misleading. The one on the bottom is more misleading. Okay. If someone's trying to argue that there's a clear line and that for hurricanes here and that you need to buy hurricane insurance or something, then they might choose that. Okay, so again, if we're looking at graphs, what types of things are you going to think about? Did they set the 0 on the graph? Did they include all the information? Did they include, or did they set the scale equal for each piece? Okay, and then when we get to your radical soda, you're asking to create an assignment, including a misleading but not untrue graph. Okay, a lot of people do this as a second document and posted that yummy soda looked like it only increased a little bit, whereas radical soda looked like it increased 7 times more, even though those changes are not true. If you change the scale on your graph, you can adjust the seeming big difference, showing how radical soda is so much more preferred, when it's even though it's just slightly more preferred than other sodas. Okay, so that was misleading graphs. In Metric Mania, we had to go through this chart here, and what we saw is that with your base unit, okay, we need to fill out all the different pieces here. So I had centa, we can also put in milli, okay, and if I lay this down so I can write on it a little bit better, we can come through and do some of the examples. Okay, so for example, we have this 250 meters. Meters is a base unit, okay, and we need to go to kilo. So if we want to go from base unit to kilo, we're going to move the decimal point 3 times to the left, okay? So I'm going to take the decimal point, get back to where it was there, okay? So the decimal point is kind of hiding right here. I said I'm going to move it 3 times to the left. So this would be my answer. Okay. People in general did a good job with this. I think some of you got in a hurry and did not stick with your plan. So remember, this will show up on quizzes. It's important to take your time and follow this. Let's just do one more. We do the centimeters to millimeters. Okay, centimeters to millimeters is moving the decimal point 1 to the right. So we're going to take the decimal point and we're going to move 1 to the right. And that would be our answer. Okay, so I did give you a lot of them so that you could practice, so that you make it part of your habit. But again, go slow, make sure you're getting your left and rights correct, you're multiplying and dividing correct. so that we get this all down pat so we can move forward here. All right, so that set us up with our lab, which is what we're going to be starting on here. We're going to do this in 3 parts, which you'll see on the assignment. Okay. Part 1, we want to be able to do an introduction, including your variables and your hypothesis, your diagram procedure. That's where we're going to start, and that's where you should be come Tuesday or Monday at the beginning of the week. And then by Thursday, we'll pass your procedure on to someone else, and we'll do duplicate data for results in this and for Thursday, and then the following week we'll do part 3 as we are at a conclusion and analysis. Okay, and you'll see a rubric here. Okay, so let's look at what do we need to do between now and Monday. Okay, you're going to be able to write and format a lab, including a hypothesis, which really is the most important part of this whole thing, is writing a clear, testable, measurable hypothesis. Okay, and then you're going to make a detailed plan that you will follow. Okay, so I asked kids, your students, what are the different parts? A lot of people got them correct. Okay, one of the important things is you don't start off knowing nothing. You start off reading what other people know. So you can Google aerodynamics or paper airplane design or Google wings or something like that. You're going to look for credible data. Okay, so maybe you see some YouTube, maybe you see Wikipedia, but you do not end there. You need to go on to a university site or the FAA or airplane making company and see what they have and save that information and then summarize it into a couple of paragraphs. Okay, and then you're going to list the websites that you have, and we'll come to that at the end of this entire process. Okay, and in like 2 weeks. All right, so based on all your reading, you're going to come up with your proposal that you're going to do something and you're going to see something. Okay, so you want to start off, what are you doing? Okay, you have 5 paper clips. You're going to fold the paper 3 times. It travels 2.8 meters. Okay, those are all going to be quantitative measurements. And then you're going to have your qualitative measurements, which are going to be very important in your procedure, like you're going to fold it in a straight line. It's going to be very smooth. You need to make a curve at this point. Okay, those are all of your qualitative observations where you describe the quality. Okay, as we came with our hypothesis, we need to approach our hypothesis excuse me, with 3 things. You're going to have your independent variable that you change. You have a dependent variable that you respond to or you record, and then you try and keep everything else constant, your controlled variables. Okay, so maybe your independent variable is how many paper clips you put on the airplane. And then your dependent variable, pretty much for everybody, the dependent variable will be how far does the plane go. And then your controls should all be, I'm always going to use the same kind of paper that's the same size, that's the same weight, that's folded in the same pattern. Okay, we're going to try to control all those other things. It's thrown by the same person at the same speed, at the same height. Okay, so we're going to have lots of controls. Key thing is we only have 1 independent variable. We're only changing 1 thing in our measurements. Okay, then we come up with a hypothesis. Okay, it's about predicting results. So you've done some reading. You've learned what other people have to say about flight, aerodynamics, and paper airplanes. And then you say, if I add more paper clips to the front of my airplane, then it will fly faster and go 50% farther. Important thing here, there has to be a number that you measure. Then it'll go 50% farther because, and then you have to add in whatever you read from all those other websites, because it has greater momentum, because the aerodynamics, or because of Bernoulli's principle, because of, Okay, so it'll be one nice sentence, okay, that acts as almost like a thesis to your entire report here of your if, then, because. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do between now and Monday is going to write a detailed procedure where someone else can make your paper airplane. And the intention is that you're going to post this to a Padlet, and someone else in this class is going to make your paper airplane. Okay, so you're going to do numbered steps. Number 1, okay, get the supplies listed. Okay, number 2, hold the paper hamburger style. Number 3, fold along the center line as shown in this picture. Number 4, okay, and then you're going to keep going through using words, using diagrams, using pictures until someone else can perfectly make the exact same paper airplane you have. Okay, and it's very important that scientists do this and they have an experiment that can be reproduced by other scientists and it gets the same results. Okay, so that is going to be your procedure, and that's where we're going to stop. We're going to stop with the procedure and have that ready for Monday. Okay, after Monday, after you've seen someone else's procedure and you've made their airplane, then you're going to go on and start collecting data and graphing data. And there's different ways you can add things to data and graphs. I like to use Google Sheets. A few years ago, kids were using this other document, this other graph creator. Okay, lots of choices out there to make graphs. That will be done after Monday. Okay, if you want to watch a nice video, go over to the Google Slides where you can click on this directly and you'll see a previous world record for the airplane flight. Okay, all right, so I went through that fairly quickly. Hopefully now, along with the documents, including the one I'm about to show you, you can start to write your formal lab report, including, and most importantly, your hypothesis, and it gives you the detailed plan. Okay, so if you've not already clicked on this, the assignment is the airplane lab. We have a video of world record airplane. Okay, you're going to be reading this, and then you're going to create a template. Okay, make sure you follow the correct kind of grammar for formal technical writing. And then part 1, this part that's due Monday, includes your introduction, your variables, your hypothesis, your diagram, and procedure. Okay, that's Monday. After we've passed your procedure on to someone else, then between Monday and Thursday, you'll do part 2. And after Thursday, you'll do part 3. Okay, and if you're wondering about the grading, we have your rubric right here, which should also be posted onto the Canvas assignment. Okay, so with that, we can be done. Okay, hopefully it answers your questions. If not, feel free to ask me any questions on email.